Yo. Welcome to another episode of Open for Discussion. I'm your boy, Seymour Reese Ball, and today I got a power couple in the building. This couple is out here doing big things, changing lives one brick at a time. They are out here doing things and being the example of what a power couple is supposed to look like, the love that they have for each other. They're operating in businesses, they're CEOs, they're authors, they're out here doing big things. And guess what? We get a chance to talk to them. Y'all know what to do when y'all see the little thing down here. Join our community because we got some stuff popping up. And without further ado, kick that intro. Well. I am introducing to some and presenting to others, Mr. and Mrs. Parsons.
What's going on? What's going on?
Oh man. You know, this is like a full circle moment for me. I normally have a real crazy way of how all my guests got on because I normally just kind of stalk them through some kind of social media. Then they end up pulling up and we end up having a great time. But this is different. This is different. I went to school with this young man.
Yeah.
We went to the same high school. We played on the same football team. We lived in the same hood. We got the same friends. We did a lot of things. And I went off and did life. He went off and did life. And then we've been following each other on Facebook for a few years now. And I just been amazed at what I've seen come out of his life. Him and his wife, they are amazing. They're amazing parents. First and foremost, they love God. They are amazing parents, and just everything else that God has allowed them to be a part of, to influence and take hold of. I'm honored to say that I know him. Like, hey, we went to school together. You know what I'm saying? And so what's up, y'all? What's good? What's popping?
What's up? First of all, we appreciate you having us here today on the C. Maurice Ball Show. And like you said, we definitely are from the same place. We both went to Arlington High School.
I'm not gonna hold that against y'all.
She's
ripple.
I know that. I see that.
Hold that against y'all.
We go.
Tonight. We Arlington Heights. Don't try to take it easy on her now. We appreciate
come on.
We like Ripple, but we are Arlington Heights. So we just appreciate you having us, man, on your platform. It feels great to be here, especially, speaking with somebody that I truly know and respect. Thank you.
I appreciate it. So for those who don't know, I'm going to give y'all a little history. So we the best high school in Indianapolis.
True.
And then that other school.
Bro,
so it's been a lifelong rivalry. No matter where I am in the country and the people that I meet, and I'm like, "Where'd you go?" They be like, "I went to Broad Ripple." Automatic, we start side eyeing each other.
Right.
Right.
Okay, you went to Broad Ripple. It is one of the biggest rivalries in Indianapolis, but there are good things that come out of Broad Ripple.
Right.
Yes.
My angel, she got her out of Broad Ripple, so that's the best thing.
Goodness. So y'all, where y'all currently residing at?
We currently reside in Atlanta, Georgia. We're in the suburbs south of Atlanta, Georgia. And we've been in Georgia since about 1999.
No, 2000.
99, 2000. We've been in Georgia.
2000.
We left Indianapolis in 1996. So we had a brief stint in Lexington, Kentucky. That's like an hour outside of Louisville.
I'm not too far from there.
Okay, cool. Okay. So, we really went there. That really was the pivot point for us. But she got her degree there. I went there, changed my life around, and we've been in Atlanta since 99, 2000.
99, 2000, Indianapolis to Lexington to
Right,
the A.
right.
To the
Okay. So I know that y'all got about, y'all got married right out of high school. Y'all was like 4,
Yeah,
right? Y'all
yeah,
been married like 25 years, right? Now,
yes.
how did y'all? Well, before I get into how y'all met, what's your family dynamics and how is it made up? Are you the Doug? Are you the youngest of or the oldest? And Atiya, where you fall at in your family line?
So there's actually 6 of us. So there's 6 of us. Well, 7, actually 8, because I have some stepbrothers and sisters. But as far as the family members that grew up in my house, there's 6 of us. So I am actually the second oldest. So there's 3 girls and 3 boys, and I fall the second. So I was kind of like the little mama of the house.
She's still a little mama.
Yeah, still little mama. So I was like the second mom in charge, when my mom wasn't around. So I always, since I have 4 younger brothers and sisters, just kind of had that motherly instinct in me.
Mm-hmm. Me, I was the oldest and the youngest and the only child. So I'm an only child, and that's it. Got 5 boys of my own, 2 that we have together. My youngest 2, and then I have 3 by other women in Indianapolis. So my boys range from 35 to 22.
Yeah.
35.
35.
Yeah, man.
He started.
You got grown kids. Like
grown. I started. I was 10.
Man.
No,
so how did the dynamic work with you being the only child? Because I'm I'm the youngest boy, and I'm the only boy. Right. And then I was the only person living with my dad. So we come a certain kind of way. Like there's a certain kind of thing that the only child walks in, like it's our way or no way. We don't. We can play well in the sandbox when we want to, but that's a selective few people that we allow in the sandbox. But then when we get tired of you, we take our ball and we bounce. So how did y'all meet? What brought y'all together?
Well, I'll tell you this. First of all, don't talk about the only child syndrome, because
that's what I tell him he used to have. He's doing better. That only child syndrome.
So she definitely be talking about that all the time. But we actually met at USA East Skating Rink.
Yeah.
I was actually with Calvin. Calvin.
Yeah.
Me and Calvin Crasher was at the skating rink, and we saw her. We saw little mama skating around the skating rink with she had on one of them guest outfits at the time. And I seen her roll around a few times, and maybe some other folks were supposed to be speaking to her, but they didn't. So I jumped right in, and here she is.
And I actually, you can't leave out, I threw his number away. So I threw his number away before I even got into the car. And so, because I was like, I could tell the whole persona. I'm like, I know he's probably a hustler. Like, I had talked to other hustlers, and I was like, I just, it's too much that comes with it, right? All these miscellaneous women and stuff. So I was like, you know what? Threw that number away. Then, literally, probably like 30 days later, is when we ran into each other again, because I was already in college at the time. I was at Butler University. I transferred from HBCU, came home, transferred to Butler, was going to finish up there. And that's around the time I met him. And so I had 3 jobs at the time. I think, what was that? Castleton, I think I was at.
I think she worked at the bank. She worked at the mall.
In Cheryl's Cookies in Glendale.
Cheryl's Cookies.
But I was at Castleton at the time. Car wouldn't start. They were out there at Sears trying to start my car. And he comes driving down the aisle. But he told me, like years later, he had been seeing me driving around Indianapolis, but could never catch up to me. By the time he got up to me, like the light would change.
Right.
And I'm like, I never saw you. So that's considered stalking. Like you were stalking me.
No, I forget the word actually is.
He pursued.
I was pursuing her. So I was sitting around. I finally called her. That hood was up. I was like, you see what happens when you don't call me back? And I gave him my number
Oh my
again.
goodness.
And you know, it was history from that time. You know, I appreciate catching her again though, because I had no clue. Totally oblivious till she threw my number away. I was like, oh, she definitely gonna call me. She definitely gonna call me. And I was chasing her, man, but I called her. Here she go.
Right. At the end of the day, right?
Right.
It worked out.
It did. Thank you, God.
So before, so you said he looked like he was a hustler. Was you hustling?
Yeah. Was I hustling?
Was you hustling?
I was hustling, big hustling too, not the little hustling. So, you know, she was right when she was like, hey, it's too much to come with me and all that stuff, because it really was. But, you know, I appreciate her, you know, helping me get to another level and get me out of all that stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
So how'd you land in that space? Like, what put you in that space? Because your background is more different. Y'all got two different backgrounds,
two different
settings, two different things. So, what got you into the game, and while he was in the game, what pushed you further into education?
Okay.
So let me get this straight. When I met her, I was still full-time hustling, totally. Like, you know what I'm saying? Then it was a situation, you know, you reached that one.
Right. So he's saying, like, how'd you even start in the
how did I start hustling? Right. I'm gonna tell you how I started hustling. I was infatuated with shiny things, flashy things, cars and clothes and all those type of things. So it was actually a guy in my neighborhood. He actually, do you remember Lester Majors, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lester Majors' mother was dating this big time drug dealer, you know, and back in the day, he had nice cars and jewelry and all that. I thought he was actually selling marijuana. You know what I mean? So I was like, man, like, I want to make some money. And so eventually we caught up with him. I was like, hey, man, I want to be a hustler, man. Show me how to sell this weed. And it really wasn't weed from day one. He was like, man, he was laughing at me like, man, I don't sell no weed. And like, you know, like, I'm going to just be perfectly like blunt. So he was selling cocaine. You know what I'm saying? He was selling coke. So it was a lot of money in it. He bought me my first pager. He gave me my clientele. And I had great clientele. They was working at places like Ford and Allison and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So he gave me the coke. He gave me the buyers, and he gave me the beeper. And like, he showed me how to chop it up. And it was like, honestly, I can be very descriptive. He showed descriptive. He showed me. He gave me something that was worth $750, and he only wanted me to give him $250 back. So that's how the whole game started. He gave me something for $750, and I only had to give him $250 back. And he gave me the people to sell it to, and it kind of took off from there. And they got much, much larger, but in between time, I met different people from across the country and things like that. So it got much, much bigger, but that's how it started. From wanting to have jewelry and cars and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And that's still happening today.
Yeah,
that's still happening today. Right, so you went the education route.
I got to tell them how old I was though. I started that when I was like 15ish. You know what I'm saying?
So a freshman in high school.
Well, that summer.
That summer.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, because I remember you was always at football practice.
I was, you know, but I was doing too much. I can still remember coming to practice, I think my freshman year, or it had to be my freshman year, signing up for football, and I had my son on my hip, you know, and they was like, hey, you got your brother with you? I was like, nah, that's my son. So, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. So when I think about that, the contrast, so when I was 15, I think I was probably at Chittard. So that was like freshman year. So I went to private Montessori school growing up. And when I tell people that, they're like, oh, you must have had money. No, we didn't have money. So my mom was a stay-at-home mom. Like I said, it was 6 of us. My stepfather was like a new attorney at the time when he met my mom when I was 4. So, you know, my mom stayed at home. So it was a struggle. You know, he's taking care of a family of 6, just new attorney. So my mom actually would clean up the school in the evening while I was there doing extra lessons, reading and stuff with like the teacher that was in charge of the Montessori school. So the importance of education was always like instilled in me, you know. So by the time I got to high school, you know, I begged my mom. I went to Chatard first, but at Chatard, it was still like, okay, I'm at Chatard, but I'm still doing stuff to help offset this tuition. So I just was telling this story the other day when we was home. So I had to wash the whiteboards after school, you know. So I think when I begged my mom to let me go to public school because it was already a strain, because at this time she had divorced my stepfather, she was like, okay, so I went to Briar, but I still always had that drive for learning, always had that entrepreneurship in me. So like, I think like my senior year in high school, I would leave work half a day and go work at a bank. So I always knew like education was the way, you know, that's what I was going to do. So it wasn't no choice. So when I went to the one school and stayed for 2 years, Wilberforce University in Ohio, across the street from Central State University, when got to be a little too much because I was on my own paying for everything. The next thing, okay, I'm gonna come home, but I'm still gonna stay in school. So I'm like one of those people that I'm really like a lifelong learner. So because I have a PhD, so several degrees later, still learning. You know,
that is polar opposites.
Opposites.
Yeah.
We got polar opposites on the spectrum.
Right.
And now here's a question: Did either one of y'all have a positive male figure in the house? I know you said you had a stepdad. Doug, did you have a positive male figure in the house?
I would say this: I had a positive male figure in the house probably back then 40% of the time. So my father was on drugs. Like he was either doing super good or he was doing drugs. So he might be good for 6-7 months, and then he might just lose it for 3 months, and you can't find him, and he's doing what he's doing, and then he'll come back. And I mean, when he wasn't doing drugs, he was fly. You know what I'm saying? Fly cars, fly clothes, all that. Then he would just, boom, it'd be like he'd be missing and on the drugs, you know, for a short period of time. But that was my love him to death, and that was my biggest fan ever. You know what I'm saying? Whether I was doing good or bad, you know, I was doing good with positive and legal things. He was my biggest fan. And actually, when I was selling drugs and getting better at that and getting bigger at that, he was, he was cheering me on too. So
yeah. And my inspiration was my mom. You know, the way that she took care of us, the way that she took care of the home, all the sacrifices she made. I just knew I had to make something out of myself. You know, watching her, I had a lot of positive, strong women in my life. My grandmother, you know, one of my aunts, my mom. So it was like only natural. Like, this is what you got to do. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So you just kind of follow suit now. And so like, as y'all are going, y'all kind of just going like this as y'all grow, right? Now, do y'all think that having a positive male figure in the house would have changed, or a more consistent father figure or male figure would change any of your outcomes when y'all were in that space?
I do.
I think honestly, if I had I had some positive men, but they were like uncles. If I had my biological father, which my father wasn't in my life. I only met him 3 times. My biological father, he died of a drug overdose. He was on drugs from the time I was conceived until he died when I was 18. But I feel like if I had my biological father, we probably wouldn't have been together, because you know what I'm saying? I would have been looking for something else in the male, you know?
Right.
So I would say that's probably right. You know what I'm saying? But like me, as far as me being, you know, different, it's like I probably would have turned out different. My father would have probably been more on me to stay in school, more on me to go to college. And my father got great grades. You know what I'm saying? My mother had some of his, like I went to school to be an architect, actually.
Really?
For a short period of time when we was in Kentucky. And, you know, my mother literally went in the attic or wherever this was, and she gave me this case. And like my father actually went to school to be an architect too. I never knew that. And like I seen some of his drawings and designs, and even some of his high school homework, and his penmanship and grades through it all was like crazy. Like I was like, I didn't know he was that brilliant in the books. Like I didn't know he was an architect, and I knew he was pretty good in sports. He ran track and stuff like that, but I didn't know like he was that good in school until like after he passed away. Which my father passed away in a car accident. You know what I'm saying? That was like 2000. I want to say he was 44 years old. So it's funny.
He's young.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm older than he was. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, man, like my father, he never got to see my youngest son. And so that kind of eats away at me a little bit sometime. But like if my father would have been clean, I probably would have went to college. Probably would have played football. You know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. So
and y'all would have missed each other.
We would have missed each other
because you, like you said, you would have been looking for something different in a male, and because it's very important that male affirmation and validation, and when, especially as a young lady, if you don't get it, you go find it from somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
and I can relate to you, Doug. My dad passed when he was 47.
Wow.
And he was murdered on. I lived on 38th Street in the Meadows, right there on 38th and Adams.
Right.
He was shot up right there on the corner. And then so I'm in between the ages of my mom passing and my dad passing. Ooh. So my mom passed at 52.
Right.
I'll be 51 in August. My dad's passed at 47. Right. So in back of my mind, I'll be thinking, dang, I wish, what would I do to have my parents.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To be able to call my parents and just be like, hey, your grandson, because my son was born in 05. Right. My mom passed in 04. My dad passed in 95.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But you say you lived in the Meadows?
Lived in the Meadows.
Okay, so I actually lived in the Meadows as a young child. And I wasn't on the back part like by Long John Silver's. I was on the front part like by Parkwood. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was too.
Was you?
Yeah.
I was right there in the front. I don't remember what age we left, but I definitely remember, like, if I looked out of my window, like I could see 38th Street. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we lived right on 38th Street, 38th and Adams. And every time I come to the crib, I just drive over there because they redid all that stuff over there.
I rode through there 2 days ago. I was like, wow, but they still just got that one little portion like the old Meadows in the back. Everything else is new. It's crazy.
Yeah, see, I hadn't went back all up in there, but but so that is that's crazy. So y'all going like this,
right?
Y'all meet in what year did y'all meet?
We met in like 94, 95.
Yeah.
Okay, and when did y'all decide that when did you decide to say, you know what, I'm gonna give this cat a try?
It was me. It was me, I think, not even giving her a try, but knowing, I was in the streets, I had money, and it was like I had women, you know what I'm saying? So I can still remember when I know me personally, when I was like, okay, I'm going to take this serious, or I'm going to really try to see if this is going to be something. We had an apartment. I don't remember if we was living together or not. I know she used to stay over my apartment a lot. And I can remember that I got sick, it wasn't nothing serious, but I just remember I got sick. Mm-hmm. And I could just remember calling her like, man, I feel sick. And I want you to take off of work and come get me. So I think she might have took off of work, came and got me and took me to, no, you had an apartment.
Right.
So she took me to her apartment and I kind of stayed over there for a couple of days and different things. And I can remember now she wasn't dealing with this basketball player. Do you remember this babe?
Yeah.
It was a Pacer, a guy on the Pacers.
He was stalking.
She told me that wasn't even for her. It was for her friend. Something she told me. Look at her lying.
No,
she was offering lies.
I did not tell you that.
Listen, so
there was no reason to lie.
I saw that. That's when what do you call it when you can see who's calling?
Oh no.
Caller ID.
Caller ID. And I seen his name. I was like, yo, is this such and such? And then it was like, you know what, like I need to go on. But really why I really locked in with her, because she was kind of taking care of me. Like, so I saw that nurturing, taking care of person she was. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to try this out. Because before that, she was beautiful and she had it going on and she was going in the right direction. But my mind, it wasn't even thinking about like no long-term relationship or nothing like that. But I can remember that. I was like, I'm going to lock her in and tell that dude don't be calling over here no more. All that stuff.
Goodness.
I never told that story.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'll look on my caller ID.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And so what was it for you?
For me, honestly, it's like I really enjoyed being around him. Like, he was really funny. Like, we had fun when we were together, you know, going out to eat. Remember, comedy shows was the thing to do in Indianapolis, you know, going to comedy shows. So the more and more that we were together, like, I really enjoyed his company, you know. So it really made me kind of like lock into him, you know. So I was like, you know, I guess I never really thought like, okay, this is going to be my husband. It just was like, this was a friend that somebody I really enjoyed being with, you know. But then it was like an incident that happened in Indianapolis, and he said that he was leaving and moving to Kentucky. And basically it's like, I don't know, without hesitation, I was like, you're not leaving me, like I'm coming too, you know? And that's when I think in preparation for that, well, I think before that we was pretty much like locked in, but like that's when I knew,
that was
like,
a lock in.
That's when I knew like it's going to be him. Like, I'm leaving, going to a whole nother state with this guy, you know?
So that surprised me because her whole family was, you know, in Indianapolis. So I was never going to ask her to like come with me at all. You know, if she wouldn't have came, I probably would have came back, and I'd probably be talking to you from prison or
behind the plexiglass.
Yeah, man, I wouldn't be here. Like, I know it. I was doing a whole lot.
Yeah. And I tell people, I've told this story several times, and it's the only way I can describe it is if sometimes when you kind of see things floating in the air, like remember those little puff things that are in Indianapolis? It's not really a flower. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, you just
right. Yeah. You know it. So there's been different times in my life where I kind of feel like I'm floating and God is leading me. And that's first situation where I kind of felt like I was floating in the air and God was leading me to go on this journey with him. And he's right, because several times he would say he was going to go back to Indianapolis, and I too probably wanted to go back. I didn't have any family in Kentucky, but it was one of those floating situations where God was leading me to say, you need to stop him, because if he goes back, like, he's either going to be dead or in jail, you know? So I kept saying, you know, I would call his mom and say he's trying to come back, and she would call him. I would I would say, well, you can go. I'm not going to go back to think, you know, if he really loves me, he's going to stay here with me. But, you know, I probably wanted to go back sometime soon, but I'm like, this is the path that we have to go in order to, you know, go to another life, have another life. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's, you know, the rear view mirror is the smallest because it's the smallest.
Right.
You know, like, you don't adjust your windshield. I don't see nobody driving. But like, hey, babe, grab the other side so we can see. You know what I'm saying? The windshield is permanent, and the front is it's a clear view. The back is smaller, but the back is easier to go to because it's comfortable.
Right.
It's easy to go back to something that you know that in a drop of a hat that you can get back into a lifestyle without even thinking about it, and pick up right where you left. You could have been gone for a year.
Right.
And you can jump right back in like you never left. So, you know, the good thing is that God always has a plan. And so y'all landed in Lexington, Kentucky.
Right.
Yeah.
So y'all were UK fans. You went to UK, right?
Yeah. Graduated.
First you went to Wilberforce.
Right.
And then you went to Butler.
Yeah.
Did you pledge while you were in school?
I didn't. I was actually going to pledge Delta Sigma Theta when I was at Wilberforce, but I ended up leaving when they started the line, so I never had an opportunity to do it.
Why don't you go grad?
That's what everyone keeps saying, that I need to go grad. I've been thinking.
I'm gonna tell you, you should. My wife's a Delta.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, she went to a HBCU in Charlotte, and she's a Delta. My last 5 interviews
Right.
were all Deltas.
See,
Wow.
that might be God speaking. Like, I need to go ahead and do this.
Just go ahead and do it. Get it. Go ahead, doctor, and go ahead and jump in that thing.
She got them AKAs and Deltas on her
Yeah, I
heels.
got AKAs trying to get me to go that way and Deltas.
Do what's in your heart.
Yeah.
Do what's in your heart.
That's
Deltas
right.
in her heart.
Deltas always been in my
AKAs,
heart.
I love y'all AKAs. Y'all really got y'all stuff together and y'all put things together. Deltas do too, though, and we more Delta than.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do it.
AKAs. I got a lot of family members that's AKAs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do it. So when did y'all get married?
We got married in 99, July of 99.
99.
Lexington, Kentucky, in a little church.
In a little church. It was burning up.
No AC.
The pastor was out of town. The room where the AC controller was locked. So we, like, the middle of July, like, burning up.
Woo.
Mm-hmm.
20. So y'all got married. Y'all young. Now, marriage is tough already, right? It's not easy. So without having real good examples, how was y'all marriage coming into without seeing, not really knowing what a husband's supposed to be, and really trying to not really know what a wife is supposed to be?
Yeah.
How did y'all come together, and was it rocky and bumpy as y'all made that two becoming one thing, trying to in the beginning?
In the beginning, I'm trying to think, like, okay, in the beginning we was in it. I think financially I was stable back then. You know what I'm saying? So I think that made it a little bit easier, you know what I'm saying, for us, because we had paper, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But don't get me wrong, as it went on, we definitely had some dips and valleys.
Yeah. I think at one point where we had our worst struggles is when Doug he said he kind of went through like a dark period where, he made some choices that weren't so great. You know what I'm saying? So he called it like a dark period. So, I mean, it's like we got married so young. You know, if you think about, we were together at 21, 4 years later, getting married at 25. So 25 years later, we're 50 now. So you're going to have some growth. You're going to have some challenges and things like that in the beginning. And we did the whole marital counseling, but still, those few sessions will never prepare you for things that you go through in life. And sometimes it's just those life lessons and those experiences that kind of prepare you for the beautiful things that are meant for you to have and happen, later on in your marriage,
Yeah, we got
for sure.
Yeah, we got a counselor now. She is the best. And we refer to everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody but one couple loves her to death.
Right.
But like, she is like the key to success. She figures everything that I got a question or I can't figure out, man. She figured out. She already know what I'm talking about. Got a name for it. And it's great. If your wife, a lot of time it'd be us men's for the most part, in the wrong. But hey, if the lady is wrong, if the wife is wrong, she gonna tell the wife she wrong. And it almost feel like, I'm like, wow, I feel bad. She's telling, my wife she wrong. But like, she do be wrong sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes, right?
Yeah, sometimes. Only sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Right.
But every once in a while, we might get one. But yeah.
But the thing is, people that look like us sometimes only go when there's a problem.
Right.
And you really need to go for maintenance, because there's things you want to talk about. Like, I like to be proactive.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I like to go and talk about things, especially when we have challenging things or big things that are, going to come up in our marriage or in our life,
Right.
Well, how do you think we're going to handle this situation, or what should we do? Let's talk about this. Or it might not even be us, but this is going on with our child. This is how I look at it. This is how he looks at it. I don't want it to cause conflict in our marriage. So how should we handle it? Being proactive.
Right.
That's dope.
Yeah.
So you got the only child syndrome, and you got the mama syndrome. I know for a fact that didn't work. I know it. Yeah.
Right.
I know because my situation is similar. We've been married 21 years, and I hearing no. I was like, no. My wife told me no. I'm like, what is that? What
Exactly.
what kind of foreign language are you speaking?
Right.
Like no, but I had to learn.
Yeah.
So what was that a major adjustment? Learning that okay, it's not all about you because I really still I had to learn that, and it was a very humbling lesson.
Yeah. So what you think?
I definitely think. You know, it's just like this. She do so much for me that I got to accept no. Like I mean, just in all realms, she do so much that it be like when she do say no for different stuff, like, hey babe, let me get a massage tonight. And I'm like, tired. No,
it'll be a no for tonight.
Hey man,
I've done all this all day long. I'm tapped out. So I'll get you tomorrow.
So she's doing that. She's also my partner in business. She's also my assistant in business.
Right.
You know, wifely things that she got to do, and then like I'm a little spoiled.
The mom things that she got to do too, right?
Mom things.
And then she still got her own stuff going on at the same time. So even like I just tell you this real quick. So like she's a doctor. She got her PhD and the masters and specialist, all these degrees, but she never once stopped taking care of me and the kids. Like, let me take off for a month so I can focus on. No, she was still cooking. She was still taking care of the kids. Mm-hmm. She was still going. Man, she used to drive, I want to say, somewhere in Alabama to take some classes, right? So literally, it used to be like she riding home and I would have to just stay up on the phone and talk to her so she wouldn't fall asleep.
Because it was like an hour and a half drive.
Through this whole process. Mm-hmm. So, you know, she's a real trooper, you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate God for giving me this beautiful woman. That she's a doctor, and I'm an ex-hustler. You know what I'm saying? I'm an ex-street guy. So it's like, man, I was just so blessed. You know,
and it just so happens my name Atiya in Arabic means a precious gift. So
yeah, that's my name.
You know,
that is. Look at that.
You just don't happen to receive the gift, so you have to make sure at all times you treat it as such.
But the Bible tells us that he who finds a wife finds a good thing. That's what it's
saying. A great thing. You know?
So now, was being a parent. I know y'all had you have children, and I know one of the major things, one of the major challenges for us was parenting. Right. I came. My dad raised me a certain kind of way. Her mom she came from a single mom. I came from a single dad. And one of our major arguments all the way up probably until maybe 3 years ago, our son's about to turn 19.
Wow.
Was him.
Yeah.
Wow.
I get it. And it's definitely been some stuff.
It's
how we raised. So was that a conflict? And how did y'all resolve that? Like I'm a parent like I parent like this, like I don't question her parenting because I know she has the best interest in mind for him, right? But she questioned my parenting all the time.
My bad.
like I'm wrong. You know, was that something that y'all faced?
Yeah, because I'm a little bit loose, right, than she is, right? But more than anything, I would have to say that it was my 3 other children really where the issue used to be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like this. Like I come from, I was in the streets, right? And she wasn't. So also my children's mothers, the ones, they were kind of a little street too. So for instance, this is just an example of what a problem would be. So I think one time one of my sons came down with, what kind of video game was that?
Some kind like auto thing.
Grand Theft Auto. Prostitutes, they got
and he's
drugs,
in elementary
guns, and all this. So I'm like, she sent it down. This is one we kind of agreed on.
Yeah.
Though. And it was like, she thought it was cool for him to be able to play that. And I was called her like, he can't have this, and I ain't sending it back. That was a big issue for her, boy, because she's probably spent her last $70 or whatever it was on that game. But that's something that we were together on. Now it has been stuff that we were, separate on because I'm a little bit more lenient than her. She's a little bit more structured. No, you gotta do it like this, and I'll be like.
And I think with I think with my 3 stepsons, remember we were living in another state, so when they would come and we would have them often, though we would have them a lot. Mm-hmm. I think he wanted it to be this fun experience, not all the time, but the majority of the time. But even though at first I didn't have children, I knew from 4 younger brothers and sisters, taking care of them, like I knew how I wanted to run my household, so I was a little stricter. And so I think conflict came in with that, with the stepchildren, don't get on them so much. And I'm like, hold on a second. Like, if I'm going to be, the woman of the household, I'm going to parent them the way that I would, parent my own, and then it's like he was working. That's when he at first got into real estate. So really he was working a lot. And when they would come in the summers, they were with me anyway. So it's going to have to be, I'm going to have to be in charge of this, especially if I'm the one that's going to be responsible. Okay.
She said, I'm the one that's going to have to be. So just used to be this. It was really this. Like, it used to be some little stuff that I was like, don't worry about it, babe. Like, don't worry about it. But it would be this. They only would be with me for a short period of time. Like, okay, y'all get to come down here for 3 weeks in the summer or whatnot, or a month in the summer. So it would be, I didn't want them to be hating her for these little miscellaneous things that I felt. I want them to, like, when they see her, like, not be like, oh my God, we can't do nothing or this and that. Or she would say little stuff that I know that they could do at home, but they really didn't do it here. So I was kind of it wasn't nothing terrible, but still I was just like, babe, like, let's just keep it kind of, cool, while they're here, so it won't be like they don't want to come down to the house, or they don't, I didn't want that. Even though she was right, I still understood they don't live here. I want them to want to come here. I don't want to be like, I want to go for anything, but I just wanted to be a little bit less abrasive with them because they were only here so much.
Oh, because I definitely don't play. Like with our sons, you have to think about it. I worked when they were in elementary. I worked at the same school with them. The only time I wasn't in the school with them when they went to middle school. So then when they went to high school, I went and got a job in the same high school too. So I feel like, because part of that was
they hated it, but then they loved it.
But then
for sure.
But part of it was I can't afford to be a stay-at-home mom permanently, but that was the next best thing to make sure that I'm there in their lives, like, so I can see them during the day, and if they need anything, all that, So they
loved it. They could come past her class and chill out, or go past there. Hey, mom, give me a couple dollars, or she would have food and snacks.
Right.
And then they friends used to come in there too, like they did too. So after a while, I was like, hey man, let's go in your mom's room and chill out, or let's go grab some food in there. So at the end of the day, like, everybody loved Dr. Parson, like, she still loved in the community. Right. And the kids now that she started with early, like, they older and grown now. They
grown, yeah.
And she's aging backwards. So it's like, oh my God, wow, you look younger than what you told us. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy.
You got that Benjamin Button thing going on.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that's funny. Like, I'm my wife is the politicker.
Right.
Like, she wants to explain and kind of walk through that, and I'm like, no, we not doing none of that. I'm not explaining myself. Yeah. We not talking. We not doing any of that.
Right.
And it's a good, healthy balance, right? Yeah. Too much of one sways the kids one way or the other. Right. And so I can totally get that. Like, you want your kids to come home. You want them to be like, oh, we had fun all summer. Like, we was rocking and we was kicking it. But you know what I learned about children over the last 20 years of working with young people is they love structure, even though they don't know they love structure.
Exactly. They do.
They they love like my son's friends are in college. He's in college. They come home, and y'all got some that got sons that just graduated college, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So y'all know the deal when they come home, they come here
Right.
and they here all for at least 2 weeks,
Right.
Yeah.
just posted up, and it's like,
Right.
and we see them so much. We ain't seen one of them in about 2 weeks. We like, where he at? Like,
Right.
Right.
he's working, but so
Yeah.
so now y'all married, y'all moving in, and so you got into real estate in Lexington.
I started
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I was flipping houses in Lexington. So
Okay.
So I did go to Lexington, left with a lot of illegal money, ran through all the illegal money. Then I had to go work after all, the big cars and Mercedes and Lexus and Jack, all that stuff. And so boom, we leave. So I had to go after I ran through all the money, which when I ran through some money with I had a beauty shop and couple other things. But anyway, after I ran through all that money, I had to go get a job. So I was working at like a Dessa car auction, detailing cars, and that was like so that
Humbling.
was reality, humbling,
Yeah.
stupid humbling. I used to wake up and look in the mirror like, oh my God, like, you know what I'm saying? I ain't used to this. So, I still had the cars from when I was in, Indianapolis. So, I used to pull up in the S500 SEL Benz and Lexuses with gold wheels and stuff, working these little jobs. And they would be like, hold on, like something just don't seem right about that picture. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. So it was very humbling, and I'm glad I made it out of that. But anyway, so I started a commercial cleaning business. So that went very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
That brought me back up. Hence, it started doing really, really well around the time she was going to graduate. Right. So I was like, we need to just look at another state to move in. You know what I'm saying? And that's when we decided to move to Atlanta. But
well, that's when also we found out when I looked on that teacher pay scale for Kentucky, and I'm like, they get paid what? I'm like, nah, we need to move to Georgia because my older brother was already here. Because I'm like, you mean to tell me I went to school, done graduated from UK and gonna get paid this? I'm like, we need to move.
No. So yeah, we decided to move. But,
so was Atlanta the only option, or what led y'all to Atlanta?
And I'm gonna tell you what, we came down here. I came down there first to the Freaknik, and I saw a whole lot of people that look like me. And and then when we came back, we found out like, hey, those people ain't selling drugs. They got different type of businesses. They can sit together and not be shooting each other and getting in all this crazy mess.
Right.
And it was just it was like the place for people like that looked like us. And we wanted to get a taste of it. So, like she said, her brother was already here, and I think your cousin was here. And then I had a cousin here too, and he was kind of doing things in the real estate. It was actually renovating homes. So he was doing drywall and stuff like that. So my whole thing was I wanted to get into that as well because I was doing it in Kentucky. So we were supposed to do this big business and stuff. Even though that never worked out, I still went ahead and end up in the real estate game.
Yeah. And from the realtor that sold us our first house in Georgia, she's the one that basically told him all about real estate. And so she pretty much like took us under her wing, as a black lady. She had cornrows going back, pulled up in a Mercedes. We just found her in one of those realtor books. Right. So she pretty much, started talking to him about real estate, and she was like, I'll tell you everything you need to know, but you got to get your license first. So she really introduced him to the whole game of real estate, like being a realtor and all that.
Yeah. So when we first moved down here, and we was looking for houses. So she was like, hey, we was looking for houses for us one time. She was like, hey, would y'all like to go over my house? I was like, yeah. She was like, let me call my husband real quick to make sure it's okay. So she called her husband. He like, yeah. So boom, we pull up. So we pull up, man, and it was like so amazing. Like her house was up on the hill. It was probably 7,000 or 8,000 foot red brick home. So then we get to going in the house. She got a pool. She got a theater. She got like, you go in the house and the stairs swirl up like this on both sides. She got all this stuff, and they had racing motorcycles and Mercedes and stuff legally. And I had never seen that legitimately from anybody that looked like me ever in my life. So I saw that, and wow, she's doing this legit, and she want to help me out. So boom, I had a clothing store down here and a recording studio. I had the dream of being a big producer and all that. So anyway, I did that for a year or two, and then I was like, you know what? I don't want to sit here waiting on the next person to come in here and buy some Fat Farm or a Nietzsche or Iceberg.
Right.
And I called her, and she was like, go to this school. I went to the school, and from day one, she had me pulling up at the mansion, working every day. And the thing we were doing, she taught me how to do it. And like, she never held anything back. So what I was doing for her, the first, all right, now you're going to do this for me, but you're going to sign up to do this for yourself as well. And it was like, she was just happy. God sent her to me.
Yeah. And I was teaching at the time. So he was doing that and I was teaching.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what part of, are y'all still in the same part that y'all originally moved down there?
Same area.
The same area.
Different side of town.
Different side of town, but it's like 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big difference though.
Yeah, we lived in Swanee for about 3 years.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
So we're all the way like south of the airport.
Yeah.
The outside about 400.
No, that's going north. We south.
Okay.
Yeah.
We south. So you would leave from 400 and take 85, like
Douglasville.
Nah, you still going the wrong way.
Am I?
Yeah.
South? Oh, south. Got you. 85 south. Now, got you.
Yeah. But yeah, we're in a great area, man. We're not too far from the huge filming studio. They just came down here to Atlanta. So, hey, man, we're in a great position. The values are going up, and it's just an excellent place where we live.
Yeah.
Man. It's a blessing.
So you have the title of the celebrity realtor.
Yeah.
Who was your first client, and how did you land that first client, and then how did it springboard from there, and then how did y'all make the adjustment of kind of being thrusted into that space as a couple, because that is just as addicting as being in the drug game, right? Like the attraction of women and all that other stuff. You're teaching, you over here in the cut doing teaching. You're out here in these streets. So how was that? Who was your first client?
So I would say this. So Coach K, right? Kevin Lee, he's from Indianapolis. He went to her school, Briar Ripple. So he's very successful in the music industry. So they've now sold their label, but they still do a lot in entertainment. So they had QC, Quality Control Music. So they had Little Baby and Little Yachty and the City Girls and all these different artists, right? And so he was around that. So Kevin knew me from the streets.
And it's my cousin.
It's her cousin.
Okay.
So he knew me from the street. So he had a lot of respect for me from seeing me do things in the street in Indianapolis. So he was just like, he naturally wanted to work with me because he respected me, even though they was family. So he put me on that. He had all these artists around. So one artist that he was working with she's big in business. Her name is
Prima
Donna, right? So she had the waist trainers, and now she has the cookware and cookbooks and all that. She's still doing very well. We just did something with her about a couple of weeks ago. But Prima Donna was my first celebrity client. And I will say this for myself. I appreciate her so much. What she done really, it was more than me just selling her a house. Because she put me on social media, which I wasn't very big on social media prior to me selling her house. I was on there, but not like her. So it was like I sold her house and closed the house, and I can remember calling her. I think we was going to dinner or something, and I called her. And she was like, "Oh, I'm so geek. I'm a celebrity now. You the celebrity realtor, Doug. I'm gonna tell everybody you celebrity realtor." I'm like, "All right, cool, whatever, So I think did we go to dinner?
Yeah,
we went to dinner, great dinner. And then the next day we happened to go to the mall because that was one of my biggest deals to date. So we go to the mall to spend a little money. And no, let me rewind. When we were going to dinner, Coach K called my phone and he was like, man, Prima Donna just put you on her timeline, like on her social media, and said that you was her agent and that you just sold her this beautiful house. He was like, I was like, oh, okay, cool. He's like, do you know what that means? I was like, no, but I appreciate her for doing it, right? So we in the mall, and the next day we in the mall, and like I used to have it set. People used to set their phones on
private.
On private, so it was like I had to look through it, see if I would accept you to follow me. Then I would let you in. Well, we was in the mall, and it was like I was just okay. First, it was 10 people. 20, 30, 40, 60, 80, 100, 200, 300, 500, 1,000, 2,000. I couldn't look at all. I couldn't look through all those people and accept all those people. So I just cut it off. But I want to say, like, when she did that on social media, I think I at least got about 7, 8, 9, 10,000 new followers. So so shout out to Prima Donna because she kind of was like, she put me out there. You know what I'm saying? As far as working with celebrities. So in the business, when you work with one celebrity and then you put it on social media, then here come the next celebrity, the next celebrity, the next celebrity. So it kind of started with Prima Donna and then it just went to the next celebrity and next celebrity. And like, I feel like I'm a real person, not the cornball agent typical. So it was like when they saw I was real, they would take to me and they would embrace me and us, you know, and then they just started inviting us to different stuff, like come to the cookout, come over to the crib. So a lot of my clients we're good friends with, even though like they're my clients. So that's how I got into celebrity game. Coach K, Prima Donna. So we've been blessed enough to work with some of the biggest people in the industry, like T.I. and Tiny, Safari, Young Jock. I'm not sure if you heard of Pinky Cole, but Pinky Cole and her husband, she owns Slutty Vegan.
Yes, yeah.
Slutty Vegan, he owned Big Dave Cheesesteaks, but she just got announced as the new person running Revolt TV content. Like, so they got a lot of big stuff going on, but I've just been blessed to work with a lot of huge people, and it's been a blessing.
So
yeah,
you got in the game. You out here doing big things. Now, how is marriage going? How is being a father going? How is being a husband going? Because that road is just as the same road.
It is. So I'm gonna let her talk about it, but I gotta say this first.
Absolutely.
I will say this: as far as being a father and a husband, like I love being a husband. It's just like I got the perfect wife. Some guys, you know, they get married and they go like this. You know what I'm saying? I was blessed that me and my wife just has gotten so tight over the years. But like, I want to talk about the kids. So like we say, ex-drug dealer all over the country, changed his life. My wife is a doctor. The dude that was selling kilos of cocaine, wife is a doctor, right? After he changed his life, this is what God blessed me with. He gave me a doctor wife. My son graduated. Our oldest son graduated with an mechanical engineering degree. Thank you, God. And my second son, our youngest son, he graduated with a communication degree. Maybe about how long ago?
It was in May.
It was in May. Yeah, I see. Yeah, I follow y'all.
Yeah. So boom. So actually, a couple of days ago, we were on a show called the Portia Fox Show. It's on Fox TV, right? Great show. They loved us. We loved her. Boom. So anyway, we're friends on social media now, right? So boom. I think I don't know, how did y'all tell her about the Portia Fox thing, but our son just got hired at Fox TV in Atlanta, our youngest son.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you know, I changed my life and he blessed me with so many different things that I never would have thought. He blessed us to be authors. I didn't even like to read. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
that part, the parenting part didn't skip a beat, because if nothing else, even if, you know, things are going awry with Doug and I'm going to make sure that the boys are always in line, you know, in line. They're getting their love, and that it's not going to affect them. We're going to have our disagreements, our whatever behind closed doors, because I would never want them to see that. But you're right. Along with that celebrity lifestyle comes with a whole bunch of women thinking that you have things that you might not necessarily have. They think, you know what I'm saying? Trying
or you may necessarily have
right, slipping slipping in the DMs, you know, and it's a thin line, because I feel like you have to kind of shut that down immediately, because if they, you know, try to say something slick in the DMs and it went to like, hey, I need, like, I want you to mentor me. No, we're not doing no mentoring. Like, if you need a mentor, you can come see me.
No, where would they go if they want mentoring?
So it's a thin,
where would they go?
A thin line.
Well,
now
it's a plug.
This is now. So now we actually have mentoring together. So they would go to www.bricksandblondie.org. But we're talking about.
I was trying to find it. I'll put it up. I'll put it up.
Yeah.
Right. But definitely, it's a lot. It's a lot that comes along with having that celebrity realtor status.
It is, especially in Atlanta too, because it's like, I think 7 or 8 or 9, 10 women to one man. That's how it is.
Oh, well, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so they did. I mean,
and the ones that and the men that are there, you know. I'm just saying, you know,
exactly.
It's hard out in these streets for them single women. But so what got you into Atiya? What got you into real estate? I mean, you seeing your husband balling and getting it, and he's like, "Yo, babe, come on and get this license so we can go ahead and tag team this joint."
Right, like he kept on me, begged me for years and years. Like, you know, you're around all those teachers, you should get into real estate. Blah blah blah. This was like early on when I was teaching, you know, and I have to be passionate about whatever I get into. Because once I start something, like, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to go full-fledged. And that just wasn't my lane, right? But he kept on and on. So I'm like, you know what? Are you going to pay for the class? He's like, that $500 class? Of course.
The class was $500. She act like it's $50,000.
Right. I'm just like, what can I say, throw on the wall that's going to stick, you know? So he's like, yeah. So anyway, I had the wise idea to sign up for the 2-week crash course. Why I did that, I don't know, because it was a lot. So I went ahead and did it. So, but 3 years later, I'm fully licensed myself. I'm a realtor as well. And so instead of always having this role in the back seat, now I'm driving with him. So it only makes sense.
Yeah, she drives.
That is so dope. One of the things that I could say, and I don't know if y'all know this, is that y'all have people watching y'all from a distance, right?
Right.
And I see the stuff that y'all do, and I see the stuff that y'all post. I do a lot of marriage intervention and a lot of marriage counseling, and I do a lot of couple stuff.
Right.
Okay.
I can say I can see the love that y'all have for each other.
Good.
Thank you.
That it's impressive. I can see, and not people. Let me tell y'all, don't get this twisted like they perfect.
No.
Because the only way that you get to the level that they're at is through conflict. And conflict does two things. It either grows you or it breaks you apart. And because they've been in the trenches, they've allowed the conflict to grow them as a couple, which allows them to walk in the love that they have for each other, which allows it to be on display, which is very attractive to people who watch and see and know y'all.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you know, and again, like I've been in this movement, I mean, for a while, and you can tell, like, I can see, like, one of the things I can respect, Doug, is that you are putting your wife on.
Right. I am.
Mm-hmm. You put your wife on. So, and I do the same thing. Right. If I'm in the room and I'm at the table, then it means that we in the room and we at the table.
Right.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I was going to ask you, y'all kind of already answered it, but how important do you believe networking is, building your network? which you already said your son is getting hired on at Fox,
Right.
right? Based off of the network.
Right.
And how important do y'all believe having people resources is?
Oh, it's huge. Like, you know, and even like, you know, like as far as networking, even our oldest son, like, you know, he had a mechanical engineering job. He's doing day trading now. That's his passion, and boxing. Right. So he quit his mechanical engineering job, but he got his mechanical engineering job because we knew a couple of mechanical engineers, and we reached out to them, and they then told him, "Hey, go here. I'm having you talk to this person," and then they hired him on. He just
a year and a half after in the trenches, though, looking for a job.
Yeah, he was looking. Right. So, you know, like it's
important.
It's very important.
Because the thing is, nowadays we think that kids are going to go to college, they're going to get this 4-year degree. Not to mention you're going to come out with honors and you're going to find a job like that.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. And then it went through a phase maybe 10 years ago. Okay, go to college, maybe get your master's on top of it, and it's going to be more competitive. It's not like that, because you're not only are these kids now competing with people that have degrees, they're competing with people that didn't even go to college, but they self-taught themselves.
Sure.
And so, you know what I'm saying? They can go to college, but they can do it just as well as you or better. So when I say resources are very important, your network is important. When I say there's people of a certain persuasion that have been doing it for years, so why not? Why not?
It's true.
Like if I know someone and I'm able to use that as leverage to get things that I need to get my sons at tables that they need to be at, then I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
It's crazy. It was my son, mechanical engineer. There were people working with him that did not have any degree. They just came in early. It wasn't.
But they worked their way up, though.
Yeah, but like a mechanical engineering degrry, and you doing the same thing, getting the same money, and you don't have no degree.
Right.
That was mind blowing to me. But
yeah,
that was crazy to me.
Well, what would y'all share with a young couple right now that is looking at y'all, or some of y'all followers and some of the people that follow me, that's looking at y'all and saying, we desire to be there? What would y'all share with them?
Let me share for the men. I'm speaking to the men.
Okay.
I ain't even speaking to the women. I'm speaking to the men.
Okay. And I'm going to speak to both. Go ahead.
No, you know what? I'll speak to the women then.
Speak to both.
Okay, so
we're talking about couples.
No, this is really, let me speak to the women first. Women, you have to have, and I'm not saying this, I'm saying this like this. Women, you got to got to give your men some grace, right? Especially when they're young, right? You got to give them grace, because they like you women that's meeting these guys and y'all 20, 21, 22, like these guys only been grown for a couple of years. You know what I'm saying? And then like when you lock in the beginning, like you didn't have no miscellaneous time to go play and try this or do that, right? You just jump right into the relationship. You just got grown, so you haven't done anything. So I'm saying this, women, to say, give these guys some grace. Like they're going to be growing up and they're going to make some mistakes. Now, some things are not okay, right? But if they do some light things, you know, nothing just super crazy, give them a couple opportunities, because like, Blondie has definitely given me grace. You know what I'm saying?
And he's on zero.
I'm on zero, but she's giving me a lot of grace, right? And all I'm saying that to say is, with the grace, it brings you together and y'all form this bond so tough. And I could just still remember, like, sometimes just laying in the bed sometimes, just be like, wow, babe, and we could just be cuddling, and it'd be like, dang, like, I'm so glad we stuck together, because we really stronger now than ever, and we've been through some things. But some people in the beginning, they just like, oh, nope, you did that. You didn't call me back, and you was late 2 or 3 times. It's over, or just different stuff. And it just be like, if they would just give these guys, these young guys, some grace, I think that some of these relationships will grow stronger and longer and stuff like that. So,
well, I would say, in this, I'm going to try to keep this so it's not so long-winded, because it's really a lot of parts to it.
No, speak your heart though. Like, somebody might need to hear all of it.
I would say first and foremost, people should get married when they're ready to get married and they're ready to be all the way committed, because I understand that people make mistakes, and I do understand that if you are married and things happen, there's a certain amount of grace that each person has their different tolerance levels that they can tolerate. Mm-hmm. But I just really think that really getting married, whether it's, in your 20s, your 30s, maybe your 40s or 50s, it needs to be when your mind is all the way right and you're going to be able to be all the way right. The second thing that I want to say is pray about it. Sometimes I think people are reactive fast, okay? And some people might look and say, okay, well, y'all been married 25 years and you had 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 different occurrences. Oh, I would have been gone. Yes. First of all, I'm going to sit and pray about it first, and I'm going to let God lead me. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to let God lead me in the direction that I need to go in, because sometimes we jump up and we're so like proactive, quick to react, and we're out of there. But let God lead you and ask for those signs. And every time something has happened in our marriage, that's just what I've done. I've sat still and I've let God lead me. Now, have there been several times when I'm like, I'm at the end of my rope, like this is over? I have been, and Doug's like, please, don't leave me, like we can work these things out. So there were several times like that, but being still and praying and knowing that I feel like God really put this thing together, we're in such a beautiful place now. So yes, it's okay to give grace. Like I said, everyone's tolerance is different, and really having transparency and knowing that person's communication style and knowing their needs and things that they need in their marriage, then you really won't have room for that person faltering. You have to have real grown people conversation when you're married, So I used to and my girlfriends would be like, you're asking him that? I would ask Doug, like, are you good? As far as like sexually, like, is there anything else like that I need to be doing? Are you good? You know what I'm saying? Because that's one of the reasons why sometimes men go out and cheat, because they're not, being satisfied.
For sure.
Right. So I want to make sure that we are good in all areas. You know what I'm saying?
Women, you hear what she said. Make sure.
Come on. I was about to say that.
And men at the same time need to meet those needs of the woman. You know what I'm saying? Because I've come to him like, hey, we need to work on this conversation. We need to work on how we communicate. You got to work on, like, I know you kind of rough and that street comes out sometimes, but I'm very sensitive. You know what I'm saying? So you got to talk to me in a different way. So just being able to communicate that.
Yeah.
You sound just like my wife.
Oh.
I hear you. I'm like, yeah. But you're talking 25 years.
Right.
You're going to have your challenges. You're going to have to extend grace on both sides.
Right.
It has to be God spirit led, and the foundation has to be God. Yeah. We've been at the crossroads several times of walking away from this thing. I was talking to a young lady who'd been married 45 years, and and I was like, "Yo, y'all like triple platinum status when it comes to marriage." You know what I'm saying? Like, and she was like, "Not that I never wanted to leave him, or the reason why we didn't get a divorce was because we just didn't want to get a divorce at the same time."
Wow.
And I said, dang, that's good. Like, the time I'm ready, I'm out. My wife's locked in. At the time she ready to be out, I'm locked in. So we just never wanted to be. It never lined up, because if it lined up, we had a different outcome.
It would have been over. Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Man, so y'all out here doing big things, changing the world.
Yeah.
You got the book Flipping Bricks.
Right. Yeah.
Flipping Bricks.
Right.
The art of flipping bricks. Come on, y'all.
Right.
It's the art of flipping bricks. I know that it has a double meaning to it. So let's talk about the art of flipping bricks. How did you come up with that?
Okay.
I mean, I know how you came up with it, but
hey, so like the person that we work with in regards to our books and things like that, his name is Clarence McNair.
Shout out to
KD. He's huge in the business. He's out here doing multi-$100 million deals and stuff like that. And he just took me under his wing. I was actually introduced to him by Safari, one of my clients. But the Art of Flipping Bricks came about because I talked to him. I was looking for him a house. And he was like, and we got to having some personal conversations and things like that. And he was like, wow, man, like you did all of that and you did this, man. You need to write a book because he had wrote books. Like he's an author himself also. And he told me, man, somebody need to hear your story and you need to change some lives. And I'm like, I don't know, So anyway, we kept talking about it. And then I talked to my wife about it. And I was like, babe, if I agree to do this, like you got to help me out, with the PhD and all that stuff. So
I should have been the ghostwriter.
He was a ghostwriter. Right. Stay in the ghost space. Right. Everybody writing my rhymes now. It was like he was like, you ought to write this book, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, dang, what would we name the book? And it was like, boom, we was sitting around, and then it was like, he called me like, hey man, I think I got an idea. He was like, well, you used to push bricks illegally, and now you're pushing bricks to houses, and he was like, I got it. The Art of Flipping Bricks. I remember I was on my second story. Like when you come to my house, it's a 2-story foyer. And then, you can look over the banister at the front door. Man, I wanted to do a backflip off that banister, man. He said the Art of Flipping Bricks. It was just like, wow, that's it. It was the name was everything to me. So boom, came out with that. That did well. And the city took to it. It was an interesting name, and we did that. We did well with that. I can still remember my first publishing check I got. You know what I'm saying? I never got one, and they sent it to me, and how long did I have that?
You held it a long time to where I was like, it's gonna expire.
Hey, that check, I just didn't even want to cash it. You know what I'm saying? So that just felt crazy, or it just felt different for me to, like I said, I never was a school type, book type guy. And for me to get that first check, of being an author, and the book went #1, it was a #1 bestseller. It was amazing. And one amazing things because like I told a little bit about my story in the beginning, right? So I told them, hey, I was this guy, I was doing this thing wrong. But, look at me now, and this is something that you can change your life to. And I gave them, I didn't put any fluff in the book. So the book isn't this super long book, and you can get straight to it. And it really, truly, like that book to me is worth, anybody that buy that book, I feel like it's worth $10,000 or $20,000 for the information that you get in there.
Right.
Like it's a blessing for somebody to give you that information. So straightforward, so straight to the point, and then to tell you things to stay away from their 20 years, 25 years experiences. That book is a blessing, and I want it to continue to bless people. You know what I mean? I love that book.
Well, look, everybody, go cop this book right here.
Woo! That's
Absolutely.
it. And let me say this. If you're not a reader and you more want the Audible, you see the Audible at the top, so you can get it in Audible too.
Yeah, see, so my platform is about educating, elevating, and inspiring.
Right.
For y'all who are out here that's listening, that and want to know the art of flipping bricks, for even your followers, go to Amazon and cop this book. Go to Amazon and jump on this book right now. I promise you, you won't regret buying the book.
No,
I have the book. I'm telling you, go buy the book. Go buy the book. I wanted y'all to hear the story.
Right.
I could have just jumped right to the book.
Right.
But I wanted y'all to hear the story. So then y'all pushing this book, y'all here selling cribs, y'all doing things, and then I look up and I say, oh, there's another book.
Right.
Right here.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
We nailed it.
We nailed it. The blueprint for real estate and relationships.
Absolutely.
Now, let's talk about that real quick. What brought that book on?
So KD, you know, he had already had this relationship with Doug, but I think I hadn't really met him before. You know, we hadn't had a long conversation, but when he met me, he's like, okay, I see the engine that's behind you. Like, I see who's part of your success. You know what I'm saying? Right. So y'all have to do a book together. So we were like, so he kind of said it and then it kind of fizzled off. Then he was like, no, like, I'm serious. So he was like, y'all need to do a book together. Y'all need to talk about you all's relationship. And it needs to be, your audience is going to be, you know,
first
couples.
He wanted us to do a cookbook.
Like a cookbook.
At
like,
first.
Right. With like recipes, you know, and it would kind of be like recipes for a successful marriage. And after we thought, Doug and I thought about it, and I don't think that was the lane. I don't think that was the message.
Right.
So we were like, houses, like things that you need for a house are very important, like your foundation. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have a good foundation in a house, how can you even build without your foundation? What, you going to start building on dirt? You know what I'm saying? So just like with a marriage, you have to have a good foundation. So it made sense. So in the book, there's analogies to building or like remodeling a house and the same things that you would need for a relationship. So like one thing that we don't really talk about sometimes when we're doing interviews, we talk about foundation, we talk about the roof, but we don't talk about that maintenance, right? So we don't talk about, you don't just get in the house and think that you think you're never gonna paint. You think you're never gonna paint. You think that air conditioner's never gonna go out. You know right. So in that relationship, there's maintenance. There's things that you need to do to upkeep that relationship, right? Yeah. So the analogies were perfect.
Phenomenal.
And then there's two voices. So I'm speaking in the book and I'm giving my viewpoint. Then in another context, Doug is speaking. So it's in a different font. So it's clear when I'm speaking and when he's speaking. And people that I know that know me and they've read it, they're like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I can hear you as I'm reading. Like I can hear your voice. And we're very transparent in the book.
The book is so transparent. So it ain't even no cookie cutter. Like we talk about things that times that I was doing things that I shouldn't have been doing. You know what I'm saying? And how we work through that.
Right.
And so it's a little bit of everything in that book, but I would definitely suggest it for any married couple, and especially married or unmarried, just couples in general
that work together
and they don't work together. Maybe y'all can come together and get money together. Because I'm gonna tell you something, like people always talk about money. That's not what they say. Like, money's not everything. It's not everything, but I tell you what, in a relationship, if you and your significant other could get money together, it is a lot easier. It's a lot better because now you can enhance everything you do. So instead of going to, like, y'all might go to Miami every year. Well, guess what? Now you can take her down to the Bahamas, Costa Rica. You can take her to France, and you can enjoy it instead of buying her.
Or she can take you because she getting those coins too.
This here, she definitely on me. I appreciate it, babe, too. Thank you. And I also on her too. Mm-hmm. But like, all I'm saying is like that money and like it just enhances everything. Like, and y'all can do so much more. Instead of giving her half a dozen roses, you can give her 3 dozen. It's
the love of money that's the evil. Not getting the money is where it's at. You know what I'm saying? If you love the money, like my wife and I, we don't love the money. We love what the money can do for us. As far as we are able to go into the community, impact community, buy stuff for people, put people in position. And so it's not that I love the dollars because if God takes us back down to zero, I still go out to give that stuff away. You know what I mean? Like I don't care about the money per se. We have a mutual friend, and she was on the show a few months ago, Tiffany Williams.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. She lived in Atlanta for a long time. She's big in finance and business and all this other stuff.
I have to go check her out.
And she told me, she was like, you better stop saying you don't care about the money.
Right.
And I was like, okay. She was like, because you do care. Yeah, I do care. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I do care. So I haven't got this book yet. I'm gonna order it tonight.
Okay.
But let's take a look at it again,
Woo.
so people can get. It's called "We Nailed It." They just gave you what it's about. I'm
Right.
pretty sure. I'm 100% sure that if it's anything in line with the art of flipping bricks,
Yeah.
you will be blessed by this book.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Jump on Amazon and go cop this joint.
Yeah.
Invest in your relationship. We invest in all kind of other things. We
Right.
take time. We invest over here. We buy cookbooks. We buy stuff that we don't need for the house. But when it comes down to your relationship, we're not putting the time that is needed. And there's a blueprint that, and you have this amazing couple right here that took time to put this information in a book.
Yeah.
And I say this for people who want to be mentored by y'all, and I know y'all, we're gonna talk about that shortly. But
Right.
if you can't be mentored by them directly through their mentorship program, guess what? You buy their books.
Right.
Right.
Anybody that I wanted to be mentored by, I just bought their books.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I can then get that mentorship by engaging in their books. So support this book. Support both of these books.
Right.
And I know that y'all got a mentoring program going on. And I just recently started that, right? Like a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Yeah. We just started a couple of weeks ago broadcasting it because I've been mentoring for 20 years and I got super duper success stories, that from me mentoring. So I won't get into that, but I will get into tell them about the mentoring program.
So even though Doug has been mentoring, we kind of started an official cohort. So instead of doing individual mentorship, we have it where groups of people can come in and, a limited small size, have the opportunity to kind of follow us from the beginning process of finding the home and how we analyze the home to see, if it's even worth it, to, okay, now we bought it. What type of repairs are we going to do? What type of light fixtures? Where are we buying? Where we're buying everything. So they get to actually walk with us, go into these homes along the processes. The process takes anywhere between like a month and 3 months for the whole process. It's extremely affordable. They can find the information on www.bricksandblondie.org. Also, people that are not in the Atlanta area, we have where we have mentorship calls that are they're not expensive, so it's a reasonable price as well. Where we can get on a Zoom call with them and we can help mentor them through the process whatever city they're in, and they decide that they want to flip as well.
And something I'm working on right now is being able to do this virtually. So we actually putting that together. So when we do our mentorship program, like you literally are going to have it where you can log on and you right there seeing everything that's going on, and you also can be interactive, because I don't want to just I want it to go outside of Atlanta. Like if you in California or if you in New York or Miami or Texas, like I want you to be able to get the same thing, log in, talk about it, be there through the whole process. So we definitely working on that. That's to come.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to ask if y'all had a virtual setup, which I seen that y'all had my man with the camera on one of the last videos that y'all posted. So I was assuming that y'all was prepping for that.
Right.
That is, I think that's dope.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what comes out of it.
Right.
I'm excited to see the lives that have changed.
Right.
One of the things that my wife and I my wife was a realtor in Charlotte.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, she was doing, when we lived in Charlotte, she sold houses. I'm trying to get my son to get his real estate license now, just as a tool on his tool belt. He's actually in school for photography and videography.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get him to, I was like, yo, just go on and get the real estate joint just to have it on your belt.
That's right.
So you can, just in case when you go out, because he's supposed to be going to IUPUI next year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, you could be up there selling 1 or 2 cribs a quarter and be eating.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's
so,
right.
we told you about our boys too that just graduated from college. Well, both of them just graduated from real estate school, right? So here you got to go to real estate school. Then when you graduate and pass your test there, then you can go take and get your license, your regular license. So both of them has passed the school test. So now they just got to both pass their state licensing. And they will be, they will be like, and it's funny, and they'll be licensed. But my son today just got on in Fox. He was like, "Yeah, Dad, it's gonna be a great place to get referrals." So when somebody, he said, "See, he's so oblivious." He like, "Yeah, so when people come in and I meet them, I'll just refer them to you, and you can give me a little referral fee." I said, "Son, you're ready to have your license,
right?"
Like, so no, you'll be selling them houses, and I think he only works Monday through Thursday. So I said Friday, Saturdays, no, Monday through Wednesday, maybe, or Sunday through Wednesday. Anyway, he got 3 or 4 days he can take these people out to sell them houses, and that's in addition to whatever else he got going on. And I'm like, look, if you just sell a couple houses, you'll make your extra $20,000-$30,000 a year, just a year. Yeah. Right. So some people make that a year, 30 or 40,000. So I'm like, man, you're in a great position. But I was blessed with some great kids, man. So I love them guys. Shout out to all my boys and the grandkids too.
I mean, that's I just love how y'all moving, man. I'm telling y'all, like, people just don't get a chance. Like, I see y'all, I go through and watch y'all interview the short clips of the interviews and things like that. Right. And I really think that people don't really get a chance to see this part.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, all those other interviews are great, and I know, but they have an agenda.
Right.
And I think this right here, people get to see the raw, authentic, uncut, the relationship functioning. Yeah. I mean, your sons are doing great. Who as a parent, you got to be proud. As a husband and wife, y'all got to know that y'all beat the odds.
Yeah.
Like most people that we went to high school with ain't been married as long as us.
No, or ain't been married
at all.
Right.
Yeah. 3 years is the average marriage.
I can do bad by myself, and
100%.
I don't need a woman. It's like you missing it, man.
You all day long, you missing it. Right. All day long, you are missing it. Yeah. So I have one last question for y'all both. And I want y'all to answer this separately because it's a introspective introspective question.
Okay.
And now this is the only question that I do have throughout this whole process.
Right.
What is something that you didn't pay attention to early on, but you had to learn it the hard way as you got older?
I would say for me, something that I didn't pay attention to, and I definitely had to learn it as I got older, is that everyone that smiles in your face doesn't genuinely care about you. Because I was the type of person, like, I had a lot of friends in high school, but just because you have a lot of friends and you have a lot of people that want to be around you, they might want to be around you for the wrong reason. And
agenda.
Right. They might have an agenda. And I had to kind of learn that early on. You just don't let everyone into your space. So now as I'm older, I'm really guarded about my space and who I bring into my inner circle because of energy. I'm real big on energy. So if your energy isn't right, I can't have you in my space. And I feel like if I would have learned that early on, then I maybe wouldn't carry some of the trauma that came about from that, having the wrong people in relationships in my life. You know what I'm saying? That really about the right thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
That's solid.
Me, I would have to say, there's two things for me. One thing, I wish I'd have learned how to be humble like a long time ago. You know what I mean? I could have got through a whole lot of more doors, being humble. You know what I'm saying? And along with that, I would say how I talk to people. Because sometimes my mouth can be like,
ooh,
and I know it. And, it just
like a lethal weapon.
Yours too, babe.
No.
She got the AK. She just come in sometime and be like, brick, brick, and down, and then be like, oh, she hit me, but just being humble, man. Like if I could tell anybody, like, because you know when you're very young and then you got a lot of money, like you tend to be not humble, and you think you can just talk to people any type of way and things like that. Well, you can, but like it's gonna come back and bite you. I promise you. And just talking to people right, man. Like just really. And she's taught me this a lot. Like when she first got in the real estate business, I just used to listen to her and how she was real gentle with people and like just different from me. And I'd be like, this is what it is. Do you got this? Do you got this? Or you know what I'm saying? And I'm like that. And she just is kind of like,
who are you just talking to? And he's like, I'm like,
so, you know, I saw her and she was more like moving like a ballerina, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it was just like, oh man, like I can really probably move like that and get along, go longer, go further.
Right.
So like she definitely still, I'm learning every day, man. But she's really came in and taught me how to be a little gentler with my people. You know what I'm saying? And it definitely works. So definitely, you guys out there and ladies, like y'all first time getting y'all bag or you getting a bag, be humble about it. You know what I'm saying? Be very humbled. I didn't say be quiet, but just be humble. Like
be humble.
People tell me stuff. I'm very humble. I'm appreciative. Even when I am boastful, I'm always praising God. You know, if you look at a lot of my social media texts, the first line is going to be saying something about God. So that's the first things first. And you can go look at them. God first, and then I'll start talking about whatever I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So just be humble, or God will humble you.
Yeah.
He will.
He will humble you. And
he will do that.
Watch how you talk to people.
Right.
Well, here's their social media. Let's follow.
Yes. All right. Nails.
Pull her up. Go follow them on their social media accounts.
Yeah. There it is. It's the kids, y'all.
Yeah.
I am Real Estate One. I'm here for you.
Here we go. Here's the other one right here.
Oh, okay. Let's see. That's when we got married. I had to put that picture there because we was looking so good. I had to go ahead.
He said he was fly, haircut. Yeah. Go ahead. Fresh dressed like $1,000,000.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? So also, I couldn't see it quick enough, but we also got the YouTube. YouTube might have been.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
YouTube is Bricks and Blondie 95.
Yeah. Bricks and Blondie 95.
Right.
I'll put that out I'll put that up.
Okay.
It'll be in the video.
No problem. Yeah. So
so we appreciate you having us.
But hold on 1 second before we go. I gotta know. See, I know Clarence for a long time now, and I see he's following everybody. We all following God, but you following God, and you got your thing going on, and I definitely will. You know, I just love what you're doing. But let me ask you, how did you get, or when did you like really say, okay, this is the way I'm going with God. This is what I'm doing in my life. Like, when did that come about? Like how
well, you must have been a rascal when
he wasn't necessarily a rascal, but I didn't know him to be like just like it's about
I think things for me changed after my dad passed.
Right.
It put me in a real dark space.
Right.
Okay.
So I know what the dark side looked like. I know how to navigate real well in darkness.
Right.
I know how to move. But the one thing that darkness does, if you don't have any kind of light around, it pushes you into depression, and then unchecked depression pushes you right at the forefront of suicide. So I'm looking dead at suicide, trying to make a choice on life or death, and so I chose life, and then crawled my way out of. So when I say like you crawled out of the mud, yeah, I crawled out of that space, and God allowed me to. And then several years later, I ended up being homeless, and I had just gotten saved, and I was sitting there and sleeping in my car, And I was like, God, if this is all you got for me, then I could go find me a woman to live with.
Right.
And from that point on, the doors just started opening and things started happening, and the God became real to me at that point, right? Like it wasn't about a church setting. It wasn't about some old magical pixie dust thing.
Right.
God became real to me in that moment, and that was 25 years ago. And so when I got in this thing, I got in and was like, I gave the world 100%.
Right.
100%. That I was deep in these streets. Now I was never a gangster. I was never hardcore, nothing like that. But what I was into, I was really into, and I was great at it.
Right.
And I'm like, I can't give him anything less, because what happens is people will jump into this thing and it's not going the way that they think it should go, and then they'll say that the church thing or this God thing doesn't work.
Right.
And that's because they never gave it a full opportunity to work.
Right.
And so I got in and went pedal to the metal, balls to the wall, and man, just got in and just started doing things. Seen a dude that was different, and I asked him to mentor me, and he took me under his arm and just walked me through this thing. And the rest is kind of history. And God hand has just kind of been on our lives. You know, we got married kind of fast. We were late in our marriage, in our 30s. I was 29, she was 30. So, you know, we kind of had life experience. But ever since that, there was no in and out of this thing. Like, it wasn't like I jumped in and was like, oh, I don't think I want to be in it no more. Now I've been in it and going hard ever since I got in it. And so that's kind of put me here, and I do, you know, and so I just love God, and I try to make
feel it, man.
Yeah,
like I promise, like right
story.
now, like man, I almost start crying when you start talking about that. I felt it for you, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was like, oh my God, he got to stop. I got a frog in my throat. You know what I'm saying? But like I wanted to know, because like I see you. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to know, man, like that's heavy, man. You know, but people definitely can't think like, oh, I'm gonna go be with God, and God, I want you to do da, 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 and you don't do it.
Right.
Oh, it ain't nothing, and it ain't it don't work like that.
But what I think, honestly, sometimes people forget. People pray out, you know, we pray for things. God, please, you know, I hope I can get this job, you know, and then when that falls through, you're like, man, I'm doing all this praying. But what we sometimes forget is that God blesses us every day just by waking up.
Right.
So
100%.
Right. I think people forget about those small things. Like I'm waking up, like you woke my mother up, you woke my children up, you woke my husband up. Like you did all these things. So if I haven't gotten this job yet, maybe that job is not for me. So I think sometimes people in prayer forget that those immediate things that you're praying for. I'm not praying, God, you know, we usually forget, God, please, like, can you wake Doug up tomorrow? God, please, can you, like, we forget to pray for those things and think that it's going to be automatic. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we have to remember those things in prayer and when we're moving about in our lives, you know?
For sure.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. And before my feet hit the floor every morning, I thank you.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Before I get out the bed, as soon as I open my eyes, I'm thanking him, because if it had not been for him, woo, I ain't even about to get in that thing, because boy,
look at it. He feel it too. Yeah, me too, man. I be like,
come on.
thank you, Lord.
I mean, like you were in different spaces, but I'm pretty sure, like, I've been in places where bullets ain't touch me.
Yeah.
I've been in. I remember driving so drunk, I don't even know how I got the car in the park straight in the. I don't even know how I got in the house.
Right. I feel you. Like, how I was home.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing but God.
Right.
And this is a and I'm gonna cut it off on this, because it's really two things that make me praise God.
Yeah.
Crazy, like all that stuff is cool.
Yeah.
But I can say I have one child.
Yeah.
I can say that confidently.
Right. Right.
And I ain't never had to go to the doctor.
Okay. Right.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
Hey man, having a child is so amazing, man. When you really think about it, like that is amazing, man. That we can really, God has blessed us enough that we really can make a whole other individual.
Right.
That's serious when you really think about it.
Yeah, that's right,
bro. Hey, I got to turn myself down because we be on this thing for a whole nother 2 hours. We started getting on that pony. But y'all got anything else y'all want to say to the people?
I do. I definitely got something I want to say to the people. I don't care what you all are doing. Always keep God first. That's the first thing. Second thing is I'm going to talk about real estate. I wish I would have started real estate way before I did, but let's talk about this just for 1 second. Like some people like us, we pay for our children to go to college, right? The whole way. They don't have school loans or none of that, right? Okay, so let's just say we was paying $20,000, $30,000 a year, right? Okay, so add that up over 4 years and they get the degree, and we already talked about what happened after that. Okay, so now let's talk about this thing that God has blessed us to be able to do called real estate, where you can go pay $600 or $700 to get this certificate, right? Mm-hmm. And now you put in the position that, hey, guess what? I can go sell a $1 million house, right? Not to say that you're going to start off selling that, but you can go sell a $1 million house and make $30,000. And then you got the whole 364 days, right, to make more money. So I will say to all the people that look like me right now, that's really who I'm talking about. Like, go get your real estate license and dig in. It could change your whole financial situation. It changed my whole life. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana, home of the Ku Klux Klan, right? Ex-drug dealer, right? It changed my whole life. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't do it without God. So God, thank you for putting me into real estate.
And I would like to ditto all that. And I also want to say, of course, thank you, God, first for giving us this opportunity and this platform.
Right.
I want to say I am touchable because I feel like there's more women out there that want to DM me. It's just in my spirit. But they feel like, oh, she's a celebrity realtor, because the few women that do message me, you know, I message back, you know, I give them advice. Sometimes people are like, oh, do you work with first-time home buyers?
You work with regular people?
Yes. Like I am touchable. Like if my story resonates with you and you need help, please reach out. Please DM me so that I can give you some advice so that I'm here. I'm touchable.
She's so humble. Like, you know, just like I'm so humble. So we so humble. So just because you see us doing what we do, driving what we drive, wearing what we wear, like, no, we want to y'all. Like, we just got these things on. Exactly. You definitely can. Hey, I will sell a $20,000 house. I love to work with first-time buyers. I love to work with people who barely can't get the house. Them is the people who I really love to work with. I always been for the people.
The underdog.
Yeah, like that's just always what I've been drawn to personally. Mm-hmm. So reach out to us. Like, we're not these big celebrities that don't deal with we everyday people. So get with us.
That's right. That part.
They're everyday people. Reach out to them. Yeah. They are down to earth. Yeah. And they're an amazing couple. Right. And you heard it here first on the C. Maurice Ball podcast. I love you like a play cousin. And I'm out. Peace.
We out. Peace.